Well, hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of the GolfRules Questions podcast. My name is Roscoe, your co-host, sitting as always virtually alongside, in front of and with, arm in arm as we go on this quest to bring the golfers of the world a better view, better information and more knowledge about the wonderful world of golf rules. Sitting across from Blakey. How are you, Blakey? Late night tonight. We're a late one tonight.
Yeah, Roscoe, it's already past my bedtime, so looking a little bit sleepy, but we'll get through this and make sure we get the listeners what they want, Roscoe.
Firstly, an apology for some slow play on our part from last week's episode 14, where we talked about match play and got caught up in talking about our own match play greatness and all of the wonderful rules of match play. We could have gone on for another episode, and we had some great feedback, and thank you to those who did hit us up with some more questions about match play, and some of those we have tonight, and pretty much based on some of those questions and the feedback from everyone, we've decided to dedicate tonight's episode or today's episode or this episode pretty much solely to listeners' questions, which we'd like to do more often. But yeah, we're going to cover listeners' questions tonight. Is that right, Blakey?
Yeah, so we did. I had a couple of themes that I wanted to go through with the podcast. Obviously, we probably could do a part 2 on the match play. I want to do definitions, changes in definitions from 2018 to 2019. But as you said, we got a lot of questions from our listeners, from our viewers on YouTube. So we're just going to go through them tonight, and obviously background bingo, IVORS, and the rules question of the week as well.
Well, let's head straight into that. The golf rules question of the week, the GRQ OTW, as I like to abbreviate many things in my life, and that is one of them, the GRQ OTW. Golf rules questions of the week. Remind us, Blakey, what was last week's golf rules question of the week?
Well, since we were doing a match play, the match play episode, I guess we called it, the question was, in match play, when can you get a 2-stroke penalty? It's the only 2-stroke penalty in match play. And the answer, Roscoe, is, and it's quite pertinent that you have a bunker in your background bingo tonight, is when you take relief from a bunker under 19.3 and you want to go back on a line outside the bunker, you can do that for a 2-stroke penalty. So it's a choice, but that's in the rules. It's the only time you're going to get a 2-stroke penalty in match play.
Well, there you go. And that certainly flummoxed a number of people, but there were a couple of people. And interestingly, from our part, because we try and sort of keep tabs on where we reach and who's listening and where everyone's from. And we've got a wide and varied listenership, rules brethren and sisterhood out there around the world. Family, familiar. There's one for Ivor to correct me on. That's Italian for family, Blakey. But Jerry Bauer and Fraser Nickel from various parts of the world. So Jerry, congratulations on you getting that right, all the way from the US. And wow, what a day it is in the US at the moment. It's still unfolding, everything that's going on over there with the elections. Whew, cool. That's a real ring-a-ding of that. And then
did you say Trump's a cheat, Ross?
No, I didn't, but I'm glad you asked, because the latest episode, and there'll be a new one coming very shortly, but the last episode published of the My Love of Golf podcast. Now, I'm going to take 2 seconds to plug my own stuff, Blakey, because, we spent a fair bit of time plugging your stuff, your great YouTube, your email list and all of the wonderful stuff that you do, and go and subscribe to that. But please, if anyone wants to do me a favor, little old me, the old bloke at the other side of the screen, jump over and listen to the My Love of Golf podcast. I put a lot of heart and soul and effort into that, and have a lot of fun. And nice to know that Blakey's now joined on to the listenership and has listened through the 98 episodes of the back catalogue. So I've got many more episodes in the can and many more to do. But talking about Donald Trump, the last episode from the guys from Glorified Donkey / the Real Life Caddy podcast, well, Gordon, Big G, has caddied for Mr. Trump, President Trump, the Commander-in-Chief, at his home course in Royal Aberdeen, of course, where he's probably Cub champion. But it tells a funny story about playing with and caddying for Donald Trump, who he caddied for a number of times in his time caddying, and did get oft requested by Colonel Trump. anyway, we digress, as we like to do.
Yes, let's get back. That was actually a really good episode with the glorified donkey. So I certainly enjoyed it. Anyway, let's get back to the.
Well, no, hold on.
Question of the week.
I digressed to Scotland there for a genuine reason, is because our other listener who got your GRQ OTW correct was Fraser Nicol, who now lives in England, who is also himself a golf rules aficionado. I believe as you told me, is a Scotsman and
Yes.
now based in England. So Fraser Nicol, we'd expect to get that you to get that right, Fraser, and well done and congrats. And thank you for everyone for participating in that. But we're glad we got one that stumped you. And I think this week we've got another one that might stump you in probably a couple of senses. But anyway, we'll get to that later. Now, as discussed, we've got some listener questions. Do we fire straight into the listener questions?
Yeah, let's fire in. I think last week we sort of went on a little bit too long and people tuned out because we weren't talking rules. So let's get straight into those listener questions and knock them off.
Okay, so this week's first listener question is from a first-time listener, as you'll tell us. It's from Andy from Melbourne. Thank you, Andy, for joining us.
Hey guys, it's Andy from Melbourne. Long-time listener, first-time caller. Love your work. Fantastic show. Just got a quick question that I've always never had an answer to. So you guys hopefully got the answers for me today. I want to know if you can carry left-hand and right-hand clubs while still sticking within the bag limit, whether it's for clubland or competition. Love to know the answer to this one. Thanks, guys. Keep it up. Big shout out to Big P. Love your questions too, mate.
Great acknowledgement of Big P, and I'm going to just break everyone's suspense that Big P does feature significantly in the rest of this episode. But let's go back to Andy. Great question, and if I can sort of lead off, in doing what I do and talking to people about golf gear and golf equipment all day, every day, and have a lot of fun doing so, every so often we'll come across someone who asks this question. So it's a legitimate question. And I guess maybe, I'm not sure Andy's status in golf in terms of his newness to the game or how long he's been playing or whatever, and he feel free to tell us. But people do ask this. You know, they want to know if they can carry two putters. They want to know, can they carry two drivers or things like that. You know, a lot of people want to know if they can carry two putters. You know, they've got a long putter and a short putter, and you know, and they're not sure if that's legal or not. So this sort of falls into that category. Can you carry a left hand and right hand club? Now, I've seen this happen before, so, you know, I believe you can do it, Blakey.
Yeah, well, remember when Phil Mickelson was carrying two drivers? Okay,
Yes.
So when it comes to the rules of golf around clubs, it's pretty wide-ranging in one respect, in that you can have a maximum of 14 clubs, and that's a maximum of 14 conforming clubs. Right-handed, left-handed, putter, driver, three-wood, chipper, you know, all the different kind of wedges. One of the ones that I pop into my Instagram quite often is what's the highest degree of loft that a club can have. Now, the smart answer is 90 degrees, obviously, but that ball wouldn't go too far unless you really bellied it. But yeah, there is no limit. So there is no limit, but effectively, you know, once it turns to 91, it's actually effectively 89. So there is no limit on loft, but you could carry 14 putters if you really wanted to. And you can carry, you know, and answering Andy's question, you can carry 7 left-handed clubs and 7 right-handed clubs. Now, if you're right-handed normally and you're carrying a left-handed club just to get relief from an abnormal course condition, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're entitled to relief, because you still have to be able to play a shot. Now, playing a shot could be just chipping it out sideways. So yes, there might be a case of you can get or entitled to relief. But you could do the exact same thing with the back of a right-handed club. So there's no use actually having, or a lot of the time actually having, a left-handed club. Let's go for an example where, you know, your ball's in a divot, in the middle of a fairway, in a divot. Crappy lie, okay? And you realize that if you take your 9-iron, your left-handed 9-iron that you just happen to have in your bag for getting out behind trees or whatever in the rough, if you take that and you couldn't hit this 9-iron more than 40 meters, and most of the time you'd shank it, and you're just using that club so that you can stand on a sprinkler head, so then you can take free relief and drop your ball out of a divot. Now that would be using an abnormal stroke to try and gain free relief. You know, I might get a lot of feedback on this one. I'm happy to take it. If the divot was deep enough and that left-handed 9-iron actually made sense, then maybe it is permissible. But if you're just, as the main thing here is, if you're just trying to use that left-handed 9-iron just so you can stand on the sprinkler head to gain free relief so you can drop your ball out of the divot, then you're not permitted to take free relief. You're not entitled to free relief in that case.
So what you're saying, it's going to look pretty obvious to your playing partners that what you're up to. If you walk up to the divot and you're 175 out and you think, I'm just going to use the left-handed 9-iron because I think that gets me out of the sandy divots a little bit better than my other right-handed 9-iron. It's going to look, you know, smells like a duck, quacks like a duck. You know, it is a duck sort of thing.
Yeah, that's a sheep, wolf in sheep's clothing, that one. And you're exactly right. If you can just, you know, trundle that 9-iron right-handed down there to a safe area, you know, where you sort of have to lay up, then why are you taking a 9-iron left-handed and then suddenly saying, oh, I'm standing on the sprinkler head? You're seriously just taking it to stand on the sprinkler head and get free relief. So, you know, that just wouldn't be permitted.
Just a couple of lefty-righty examples. Now, not using that as an example of using it inappropriately, but the great man Dennis Armfield, Carlton fan favourite and club legend, putts left-handed. Plays right-handed, but putts left-handed and putts the lights out of it. Couldn't believe it the first time we played together, and he walked up left-handed and putted it and just rolled it in from everywhere. And we've played many games since. But yeah, he just had a bit of an injury-related twitch putting right-handed, so he just worked out that left-handed was his deal, and popped a left-handed putter in and putted left-handed all the time. Now, and the other great righty-lefty, which the older guys like myself may remember, wasn't as prolific on tour, but he was quite prolific because he was a bit eccentric, a bit weird, played in the 70s and 80s, came to Australia in 2010 and finished like top of the field, playing with Roger Mackay's old Persimmons and Ben Hogan Blades. Mac O'Grady. Mac O'Grady is an American pro, now famous for coaching, coaches the golf machine stuff. But he famously was ambidextrous and played off scratch left-handed, won 2 times on the PGA Tour right-handed, and was famously denied the opportunity to play. There was a tournament once, I think it was called the Chrysler something or other, where it was a right and left-handed combination pairs event. He wanted to play singly and play the right and left-handed event together by himself, but he was denied that opportunity. So and I think famously, maybe it's a sort of urban myth, but was leading the LA Open once by that much that played the last day left-handed. Not related to, you know, side from Andy's question, but there you go. You know, it does exist where people can play right and left-handed, and they can probably do it really effectively.
Yeah, well, I mean, Vijay Singh can play left-handed, and he reckons he'd be off about a 5 handicap. So he'd beat me left-handed off the stick.
Well, he can go and take on Mac O'Grady on the seniors tour now. There you go. All right. So does that answer Andy's question appropriately enough?
Yeah. So you can have left-handed, right-handed clubs, and as I said, you can flip your right-handed club around if you're really, you know, up beside a tree. So why would you actually need left-handed? But maybe you are ambidextrous and you can actually, like Nota Begay. Nota Begay had a two-sided putter, a two-faced putter. And he'd actually, depending on which way it broke, he'd putt with a draw. So if it was left to right, he'd putt left-handed. And if it was right to left, he would putt right-handed. So he'd always have a draw stroke.
There you go. What else was Nota Begay famous for?
Being a third generation, Nota Begay the third.
Right. Okay, he was a third.
And was he roommates or good friends with Mr. Eldrick Woods?
Correct. Played in the same college team, I think, and was very good mates on tour with Nota Begay and now does some commentary and whatever. There you go. Now, probably has to be said that the next part of this remainder of this episode is, sort of like our version of Love Stories dedication to Big P. He's been so far in, 15 episodes now, a wonderful contributor to the podcast. He is always there or thereabouts with some commentary and some questions, and most of the time we give those the airtime. Well, he's just rapid fired a series of questions, which we are going to give the dedication to answering them all. So I'm going to play the first question from Big P from Clubland. Big P, sorry, go on.
Just before you do that, I should say that Andy is actually a really good friend of mine, and he actually hardly plays golf. Like, he probably plays once a year, maybe once every 2 years. But he started listening to these podcasts, the Golf Rules Questions podcast, just as a friend, and he's hooked on them. He's more into listening to these podcasts, and actually he doesn't watch golf. He hardly even plays, as I said. He's just hooked on listening to these podcasts about the rules of golf.
Well, there you go, Andy.
Whereas the difference is with Big P loves golf and is seriously obsessed with golf. And he always wants to know. He's an accountant by trade, and always wants to know answers to the rules of golf. So he listens as soon as they come out, because he's just a big fan. So yeah, it is love song dedications by Big P tonight.
If Big P's an accountant, depends on what sort of accountant he is. Like he might be looking to gain an advantage by anyway. So I'll get in trouble with the ATO if I keep talking. I'll give some secrets away. One sec. Here's a question from Big P from Clubland. Well, I have to meet Big P from Clubland. He's got to come on, Big P.
Yeah, we'll get him on. I actually asked Macca if Macca wants to come on, and I think Macca's going to come on as one of our first guests, and I'd say Big P will as well. So yeah, we'll get him on.
Big P. But you can't say who your name. You might have to wear a mask or something so you can remain Big P anonymous from Clubland. But I would like to see if
Tool Time. No, it was a Home Improvement.
Yeah. Okay, hold on.
G'day, Blakey and Roscoe. Big P from Clubland. I'm sure you've missed me. Just listening to the Match Play podcast and reminded of both my horrendous match play record, but also some Natalie rules and broglios of my own. I've got two for you. Here's the first one. Playing at Sunshine on a pretty young course with plenty of stake trees from which we were able to take relief under what I believe is only a local rule. Correct me if I'm wrong. Anyway, I'm playing this hole and I want to hit a draw around this stake tree, but my club's going to hit it on the follow through. So my partner and I determined that I can take relief. And in doing so, I actually open up a better line to the flag to play a cut. So I'm practicing like I'm going to hit this big fade. And he gets his back up and says, no, you've got to play the draw that got you the relief in the first place. And I said, I don't think so. Ball's in play. I can do what I want. So can you let me know how we should have proceeded and who was right? Thank you very much. Love your stuff. Bye.
Before you answer that question from Big P, great work on the comedy. The Natalie rules imbroglio. Like, that's classic. 8 o'clock. We have some funny with the word imbroglio, and you've just added to that the Natalie. Of course, if you're not from Australia or you don't know Natalie Imbruglia, wonderful Australian talent, great young singer that comes from the country, and you might know her from other parts of the world. You've just incorporated Natalie Imbruglia into the rules imbroglio. Natalie rules imbroglio. Well done.
I was really torn over that one. That's her most famous song.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
So let's break it down. Firstly, he's playing match play. He's playing in a competition in Melbourne called Vic Pennant or Metro Pennant, which you, Roscoe, have spoken about in the past. He said his partner, I was trying to work out whether he actually meant his caddy or his opponent. It didn't really matter. I think it was his opponent, and his opponent said, yes, you can take free relief from the stake trees. Now, stake trees, we've touched on this before. Stake trees are, if the committee wants them to be, a no-play zone, meaning they're protecting the tree. So by protecting the tree, calling them a no-play zone, you must take free relief when they're in the general area, okay? If they're in the penalty area, they can still call them no-play zones, but then it's a weirder situation that we can follow up on with another episode. So he's taking relief. He thinks, well, if the tree wasn't there, I'd play this draw. So I'll take relief, working out my nearest point of relief using the shot and the club that I would play if the tree wasn't there. That would be a draw. He works out his nearest point of complete relief. Now, this was back in the day, but he works out his nearest point of complete relief, works out his relief area from that spot, and then, because his relief area is in a certain spot where he doesn't have any interference from his area of intended stance, his area of intended swing, or the lie of the ball, he realizes he can now play a different shot. As soon as he gets that ball back in play and it's within the relief area and he doesn't have interference for that shot that he was going to play, the draw, the ball is back in play and he can choose whatever club he wants to use. He can choose whatever type of stroke he wants to play. He's free to go about and change and change his mind and do whatever else. He could now play a low shot instead of playing a high shot. He could play a high shot instead of playing a low shot. I think you get the point, don't you, Roscoe?
I get the point, and what I do know is it doesn't take too much of an angle change or a positional change to really give the whole shot or the reference for the shot a whole different look. So, of course, it's only natural that if you've got a drop and you go back to the requisite distance, you might be able to play a fade now. So you've got the opportunity to do so. But as long as you didn't misappropriate the opportunity to take the relief and do it under the wrong way, you can take the relief and play the shot.
It's a really, and it can sort of really be inches or like a really small change. A famous incident around this was actually Jordan Spieth a couple of years ago when his ball was interfered with by an artificial path and he had his ball or his stance interfered with by temporary water, casual water at the time. I think it was a couple of years ago. And I'm going to actually do or put some subtitles to that one on YouTube. It's a 10-minute video and I'll get that up before episode 16 comes out. So it's very similar, Big P's question, to that Jordan Spieth scenario. So I'll definitely get that up within the next week.
Cool. All right. So Big P, that's
question number one. Question
number one. So now we'll move on to Big P's next question. So we've got two more questions from Big P.
G'day, Blakey and Roscoe. Big P from Clubland back again with another pennant. Natalie, rules imbroglio for your determination. Playing at, I think it was Sanctuary Lakes, and as Blakey knows, I'm prone to hitting a bit of a block cut at times, and I miss this par 3 to the right and end up on a path. And I go to take my drop, opponent watching very closely, from shoulder height back in those days, drop it twice, rolls more than 2 club lengths, then I have to place it. And I'm about to place it, and he says, no, you have to place it here, on the wrong side of a tuft of grass, so I wouldn't be able to get my club on the back of the ball. And I was thinking, why would I drop my ball there? That is not where it landed. And then it becomes he said, she said, in this case, 2 he's. But anyway, what could I have done in that case? Do I have to get a rules official in to say, look, this is where I want to place it? What happens? Thanks. Bye.
You got any thoughts on that one, Roscoe?
Well, I do. I think we sort of covered it in a previous episode, in the match play episode there, where I think if you've got the opportunity to get a rules official, you probably would, because you don't want to get in a fight. But I believe that if you believe you've dropped it in the right spot and you are taking the relief in the right spot, i.e. where the ball dropped, and you're doing that, you get to place it where you believe you dropped it.
Yeah, that's spot on. It's, if you drop it, and Big P was talking about it rolling outside 2 club links, don't worry about that. Let's just say it's rolled outside the relief area, and so he drops it again, he re-drops it. It rolls outside the relief area again, so he has to place it. He has to place it on the spot inside the relief area where it first hit the ground on the redrop. First hit the ground on the redrop, that's where you have to place the ball. Now, he's spot on. When you're doing the redrop, you're thinking that in the back of your mind, you're going, okay, if I drop this and it doesn't stay within the relief area, I don't want to be placing it in a divot, placing it in a bare lie, placing it in a terrible lie. I want to be placing it in a nice lie. So let's try and aim for that spot. Okay. And so that's the first part. If he didn't think that it hit that spot where the opponent is talking about, then he should place it where he thinks it first hit on the redrop and play it from there. Now, if the opponent disagrees, thinks that that's incorrect, he should make a claim, or the opponent should make a claim. Everyone's still friends at this stage. It's just golf. You're just saying, I disagree. You're not saying you're a blah, blah, blah. You're just saying, I disagree with you. Let's carry on. We'll work out the result of the hole, but then it will have an asterisk on it, and we'll talk to the committee when we first see someone, and they can tell us who was right and who was wrong. All good, gentleman's game. We'll work it out then. So Big P should have placed it where it first hit on the redrop, played the shot. The opponent says, I don't disagree. I'm going to make a claim. And they talk to the referee when they first see them. So and this was sort of Macca's question last week. If the referee comes up and goes, I don't know which side to go with, in most cases in that scenario, you're going to go with the player. You're going to go with what the player stated. Unless you can find evidence where the player is lying, being deceitful, you're going to go with whatever the player said.
Absolutely. So, that's what that's what I was saying at the start. If he believes that's where it fell and touched the ground, and that's where he's taking relief because it's rolled outside of the relief area, that's where he plays it from. And then deal with the wash up of it after that. And, jeepers, I'd hate to be playing against a guy that does, says, no, it dropped, hit the ground an inch away. Like clearly by the sounds of it, it wasn't anywhere near where Big P is saying that it dropped, the other side of a tuft of grass, like, do me a favor. So, but that's, you come up against all sorts in the game. And as you say, it's a gentleman's game, but it's a very competitive game, that match play environment. And some people take it very, 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 very seriously, as do some of the clubs. And sometimes you see some levels of behaviour that you don't want to and could be avoided. But anyway, thankfully we've got rules and systems in place to cater for what prevails, and that is the integrity of the game.
Well, it's really funny. If you you might not know the rules, but if you seem to be the loudest person, most people think that you know the rules. So if you go, no, I know what I'm doing. Oh, this is how I do it. Everyone goes, oh, yeah, he must be right. He sounds confident, even though that might be incorrect.
The other thing, what I have seen, I wouldn't say it's bullying, but it sort of goes on that regard that you just said. Someone who's loud, who thinks they know the rules, and inside yourself, you know what is right. But there's someone there that tells you what is, how it is, and this isn't in match play, this is just in stroke play. No, you can't do that. You've got to do that. and you know, but then you're the sort of person that just doesn't want to create the conflict, doesn't want to have that awkward situation. So you go where they tell you to. Ultimately, once that's happened, it's a recipe for disaster for the rest of the hole. And if you're anything like me and you internalize it and you just want to sort of keep quiet, it ends up potentially ruining your round. So I'm sure there's plenty of people like that just, go what someone else with what someone else tells them to do, know that it's not right, internalize it, and probably leads to a couple of one-pointers or wipes. But anyway, don't if you believe the rules and you know the rules, be confident and have a discussion about it with your playing partners. There you go.
It's worse than stroke play, Ross, because if you say, yeah, this is how you do it, you got to drop it here and then you place it over there, and I do that, the penalty rests with me if we find out that that was wrong. So if I believe you and then we find out that I played from a wrong place, I can't say, oh, Roscoe told me to do it. So does he get the penalty?
No.
I get the penalty.
Okay, very good. So we've got one more from Big P. Let's get straight into Big P's third question for the night. What's the podcast record? 3 questions in one night from Big P.
G'day, boys. Big P from Clubland here again. I was just playing the other day, actually, with a relatively new golfer. I hit the snap hook, which is my other miss, and it goes obviously into the left rough, being a right-hander. I'm walking down the left rough, and I must have walked right past my ball or over my ball. I didn't touch it, but I'm looking up in the rough, and the newer golfer behind me, he goes and picks up this ball, puts it in his pocket. And I was like, hey, what ball was that? And he goes, oh, it's a Callaway. I said, did it have red markings? Yeah. Oh, that's mine. Oh, what do I do? That's my ball. Does he just have to come back and drop it? Does he give it to me to drop and tell me the approximate place? How do we proceed in that case? Thanks, gents. Bye for now.
Well, firstly, Big P, well done for seeing your playing partner before he got the chance to secrete away with your ball. Secondly, to any of the new golfers that do listen, and we hope you are listening, and we hope you do find some level of rules entertainment and information from the podcast. Entertainment if you listen to Big P's comedy that he's just rattled off with the rules and broglios. Don't if you're playing in a club competition, don't pick up other people's balls. Even if you're short on balls, someone will always lend you a ball, but don't pick up other balls. Like identify it. Say there's a ball over here. Is it anyone else's? If it's no one else's in the group, the best situation is just to leave it. Just to leave it, because you don't want to be that person that picks it up in a club competition and the balls come from 2 fairways wide, depending on the course you play, depending on, if you're playing with Pete and he's got a two-sided miss, it could come from anywhere, from anyone. So you don't want to pick up other people's balls. So just leave it. Just leave it. But always just say, hey, there's a ball here. Is it Callaway with a red dot? But so your playing partner's picked up your ball. You've caught him before he's unfortunately tried to pocket it, and you want to replace it. You want to go back to where it is. So what do you do, Blakey?
Yeah, so they changed this rule in 2019. Basically, if you know that an outside influence has moved your ball, which in Big P's case it was 100% known, then the ball needs to be replaced. Okay, it's not a drop anymore, it's a replace. And if you don't know the exact spot, you estimate it and still replace it. So you could be, in this case, you're going to be within a foot, inches probably, Big P, but it could have happened 40 meters and then they go, oh no, there was a ball back there and blah, blah, blah. You have to go back and you just place it and you go, okay, where did you pick it up from? Oh, I think it was around there. I wasn't really sure. Place it. It's still a place. Okay. You might get this really nice lie suddenly, but again, you don't know. So you could have had an even better lie. So just replace it, get the information, as much information from the person who picked it up. But again, this could be a situation where it's an animal. You saw a fox, you saw a crow, run away with it, fly away with it. Then you just replace, and you can, in that case, you can substitute another ball. So in stroke play, it's all individual, and forget about caddies at the moment. but it's all individual. Everyone is an outside influence to everyone else. Okay, that's under Rule 9.6. Whether it was deliberate or accidental movement, if it's an outside influence, there is no penalty, and the ball just needs to be replaced. If that ball is not easily retrievable, you use another ball.
And what about in match play?
So in match play, now it goes into Rule 9.5 if they are the opponent, because you can still have an outside influence in match play. That could be someone outside of the match. But if it's the direct opponent, it's 9.5. If it's during a search, it's obviously no penalty. But deliberately picking up a ball, you see a ball, you deliberately pick it up. That's not during a search, okay, because you found it just before you picked it up. Kicking it accidentally, that's during a search. But deliberately picking it up, if it could be the player's ball, just leave it there and go, I found the ball, come and identify it. Or, you look sideways around it and you go, oh, yeah, that could, don't touch it. Just like you said, don't touch it. Just leave it there. Say, I found a ball. But then again, Roscoe, how many balls have you found for your opponent in match play?
I'm good.
Me too. Like, we're both outstanding citizens. What was I thinking?
Yeah, no, I'll give you a hand, mate. Yeah, no worries. I'll be across there in 2.75 minutes.
I usually, this is genuine. I actually do usually want to find the opponent's ball because it's usually even worse.
Yeah, especially
than when they put their provisional. So I'm usually more interested in finding their ball than they are.
No, 100%. You're exactly right, because they're in the deep caca and they're in the anything could happen from your ball. You might not be in a great spot yourself. So yeah, absolutely. All right, well answered.
Yeah, no, that was good. That was a good question by Big P as well.
Thank you, Big P. Looking forward to getting you on one day, whether you are in the face or we keep your secret. Yeah, we could work that out. But
we're still got to wear masks down here, so I think you're right.
Yeah, exactly. But looking forward to more action from you, Big P, and more comedy gold. Thanks very much for providing the comedic interludes this week. Just some housekeeping, Blakey. We've got some IVOR action this week. Now you can lead off with the first IVOR because it has been called by one of the other regulars, Webbo. It's been called on you. So what's Webbo called on you, mate?
Well, I forgot that Webbo got background bingo for episode 13, which was Terrace Downs, and you had the course, your home course actually, Peninsula, 17th of the North, and I forgot that he'd got that one, and so that was my stuff up then. That was 5 in a row, and he's actually we'll lead into background bingo in a second, but he's pretty much got 6 in a row. He is just on fire. I've made a little bit of a tougher one this week, but as I said, we'll get into that in a second.
Hang on, I've got another IVOR.
Yeah, I know. Go for it.
I'm calling it on you. It's from today. So we do actually do a little bit of preparatory work for these podcasts. It might not seem as such, but we do a little. We chat quite often actually because there's a fair bit going on in the world of golf and golf rules and all things Blakey.
My love of golf.
YouTube, emails, newsletters. He's got plenty going on. But this is what went on today in one of the conversations. I'm calling an IVOR on your rules video from the current newsletter, unnormal stance. You did correct yourself, but still an IVOR for unnormal stance. That is an unnormal word to be used for an abnormal situation.
I almost did it before as well.
Oh, dear. I thought I was very, very clever and very funny leaving you that little message, unnormal. But you did correct yourself, so well done. But
but when I was answering Andy's question, I think I almost said unnormal as well.
Ah, well, you'll get there, mate. You'll get there.
English is my second language.
Okay, background bingos.
Right, so again, Webbo killed it. I thought mine was quite tough, but St. Clair Golf Club in Dunedin. So Webbo smashed it. I don't know how he does it, seriously. And he got yours as well. Fraser Nickel got yours as well. I think they were the only two that got them.
Where was mine?
Donald links with your TaylorMade friends.
Yeah, that's right. That was I put that in for obscurity. I thought did give it a little bit of a hint that it was on the other side of the train line. It was in Ayrshire, but it could have been several courses. But if you've played that links, you would know that is. I think it was the 8th hole, and Fraser might have been right. But but it was otherwise a pretty flat nondescript links. But very, very, for those for those that have played it, was very significant. It is a Scottish Open course and a wonderful newer links course over there in that part of Ayrshire as well. Hopefully it's got a clubhouse by now. Last time I was there, it didn't have a clubhouse, but hopefully it does now. But this week's background bingos. That's an easy one for me.
Yours is a stunning course, actually.
No hints.
I'm not hinting anything apart from that they're in the same hemisphere, but this one's tough. If you get this one, I don't know what you deserve. I'll give you my whole set of golf clubs.
All right, so if it's tough, what's give us a hint?
No, I can't. He's going for 7 in a row. I don't know how he does it.
You've just put a fair booty on the line as well too, but just for
I hardly use it. The left-handed set.
Yeah, from 1972.
Hey, I have a left-handed set. I actually tried to start playing left-handed. I broke 100.
Oh, well done. You're a talented man.
Thanks. Right, and I think we're almost done.
Golf Rules Questions of the Week. This week's Golf Rules Question of the Week, the GRQ OTY. What is it, Blakey?
The GRQ OTW.
Oh, OTY.
Wow.
There's Ivors all left, right, and centre. OTY. I was thinking car of the year. Going back to OTY, Golf Rules Questions of the Week. Sorry.
Look at him. He's trying to dig his way out of that hole.
Embarrassment.
Okay. This is a pretty.
Be the big man, right?
This is a pretty. I'm not going to say easy one, but it's a short and sharp one.
What a wanker.
What is? Speaking about, leaving, if it's not your ball, don't pick it up. There should only sort of be 2 balls in play. This is the question. What is a threesome?
What?
Yep, that is the question for the week. What is a threesome?
This is a serious Golf Rules Questions podcast.
This is a serious question.
We're not getting inappropriate, are we?
No, we're certainly...
Okay, a threesome.
Certainly not. What is a threesome?
So I'm assuming that just if you rock up with 3 hombres or hombrettes, that's not a threesome, like 3 on the tee playing off in a 3 because your mate left you out. There's another clarification of the game of a threesome.
You're actually not as far off as you think, Roscoe, but it's somewhere around there.
Okay. Well, good luck with that. Can't wait to see the feedback on.
Yeah, I can't wait to see the request. Your
feedback on threesomes. Ever played in a good threesome, Blakey?
Not for a while, Roscoe.
Okay.
It was sort of akin to my younger days.
Cool.
Shall we leave it right there?
Probably best, because we have to hit the explicit button, which we're hoping not to do. And
no, this is a genuine question. I can't reiterate it enough.
I hope me calling myself a wanker doesn't have to constitute the explicit button being programmed. I'm not going to, but
no, that's a nothing word in Australia.
Okay, very good. Well, once again, it's been a very, very fun episode. Always enjoy this time of the week when we sit down and record Golf Rules Questions podcast. It's something that I enjoy doing. I learn every week something new. As much as I can contribute from where I sit, I love it, but I learn, and I love hearing that when I hear Andy chime in, Andy from Melbourne, that's enough for me. That is enough to keep me coming back. And Blakey, I know you would do a podcast every day if I'd hit the record button every day, because you're just obsessed with the rules and you give great information. Once again, you can get a lot of that information for free over at the YouTube site. Subscribe to that, the growing subscription base that he's got over there. The newsletter's great. I got the newsletter today with some videos in it. What was the rule? It was in there 14 point. I can't remember.
16.1 GUR.
The GRR, yes. That
GRR.
Was, a bit of comedy in the rules. But it's a great newsletter to get weekly. Go and get it. Subscribe. Blakey, that's it for me. Anything else from you?
No, but I did want to reiterate your plug before. I actually wasn't really that much of a fan of podcasts, but you're my love of golf. And I'm not saying this to piss in your pocket. I actually have been enjoying your my love of golf interviews. So, yeah, I really encourage people to jump on that when they're not listening to a GolfRules Questions episode.
Thanks, Blakey. I do appreciate that, and I do love doing it. I think everyone can tell that listens to this and haven't listened to the other. I don't mind a chat, but I most importantly like talking to people that are interesting, knowledgeable, and have something to offer and have something to give, and so I enjoy doing it, and just as much as I enjoy doing this. So yes, with that little pump up from you, I will be back next week to press your record button as I'm about to sign off with now. So once again, thanks for listening, everyone. Really do appreciate it. Give us some feedback, and we look forward to catching you next week on the GolfRules Questions podcast.
See you guys.